Build Divide, you have my round of applause. That was clever. I really appreciated what they did this week. Why? Because it was a really fun way to not fall into the two most common tropes whenever characters betray each other in fiction. And that is either one, it comes completely out of left field and they're just doing it for shock value, or B, you saw it coming for so fucking long, when it happened you were just completely numb to it. This was an instance of a character betraying another character, and I was shocked because of the interesting way they went about handling it, which we'll get to in a minute. But more importantly, I understand why. I knew leading up to this that the character, Sakura in this case, was desperate. You understood that something very strange was going on with her that she needed to deal with. And she's likable, so you do kind of care about her well-being. All this and more will be discussed in this week's Waifu Speculation Fall Anime 2021. I've never done this bit before. We'll probably forget it after this, but we'll savor the moment for right now. Anyways, so yeah, this episode opens with Sakura and Hiori at just having lunch together, and immediately this is really clever. I didn't think that this was going to be a big deal, but then, like, when the thing happens, I just started thinking about it, and she's all like, you can just eat my food, I don't want anymore, I'll cover the bill. Which she's done every other time she's shown eating in this show. She never wants food, just gives it all away. Didn't see that coming, that would actually turn into anything, just like random dialogue you expect is going on. But yeah, no, so they're at this restaurant, and Sakura leaves, and Hiori bumps into this kid, who then immediately falls in love with Hiori. I mean, guys like redheads, got good taste, I gotta respect that. And so then you find out, naturally, this kid is Tarito's next opponent, and your assumption at this point is this is going to be the comic relief filler episode, which granted we had 2 episodes ago, but with the final arc coming, you kind of assume that's where this is going. You know the setup. Everyone is commenting how Tarito is nicer and friendlier now, so that sets the episode up to be more lighthearted, and also the guy is just kind of immediately in love with Hiori, wants Hiori to go out with him, and makes the deal that if he beats Tarito, she has to go out with him. So what you kind of assume is the whole fight will be a lot of jokes of him being annoying and an ass, and then Tarito will win and he'll learn the error of his ways. Well then, things start going different. We skip ahead several turns into the fight and see that Tarito wins. He just takes the guy out without any real problem. They kind of make it just go by very quickly, and so then my first instinct is not, oh, this is building up to a twist. My instinct is still, we're still in filler mode, and the rest of the episode he'll probably just be annoying Hiori. Well, no, he just kind of gives the chip up. Hiori is like, go make some friends, you fucking loser. And then it turns into a little cube, or rectangle, it turns into a little bar thing. And then he's all just like to Sakura, you did this, you helped me, this is all thanks to you. Interestingly enough, I really like that he's smiling now. I like he's showing emotion, but the story, like, has done it very naturally. Like, it doesn't feel out of place, it just makes sense for this to be what's going on. But so then he gives the little, cute rectangle thing to Sakura. I don't know why I'm having trouble with words today. He gives it to Sakura, and then she just runs. She just goes off, and she clearly doesn't want to betray them. She sets up the big wall, and then instead of just going to Neo Kyoto Tower where they know she's going, they just give up for whatever reason. But yeah, it's a character betrayal, because I didn't expect that's what the episode was, even though the idea that she's had her own agenda, she's had her own goals the entire time, even though we've been aware of this, because you didn't think that's what the episode was, they still got the shock value. That's a nice way to balance everything out. It might not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of things, but when so many shows just, like, have such a fucking formula for these kinds of storylines, seeing them try to shake it up and do something a little bit different without also trying to reinvent the wheel, I think just makes for a really fun, creative reveal. But then, as she runs, we get Sakura's backstory, in that she doesn't really have a backstory, which I also kind of like. There's just something about that idea, like, when you just see her, like, kind of wake up naked just in this fog. Like, it's obviously a metaphor for how she's feeling. Just that idea of, like, she has nobody. She literally has nothing. She doesn't even have fucking clothes. Why doesn't she have clothes but Tarito did? I could name a few reasons it's probably because, but essentially just what it kind of amounts to is the other dude shows up and he just kind of like immediately kind of like starts taking care of her and sets her up with a new life. And it puts her in this spot where she kind of is reliant on him and the stuff he tells her. So she's sort of like at his mercy in a way. There's something kind of like creepy with just how controlling he is and how in control of every situation he's in. But yeah, no, so then we found out that she started at school, still no memories or anything. But also she started having this thing of she couldn't eat, she couldn't drink, she couldn't sleep. All these things were kind of put in front of us. Like I said, we noticed that she would never eat. She would always give the food to Hiori or Tarito. We saw in the episode where we were in her apartment. She didn't have anything. I think I even pointed that out. She had nothing in her own apartment. But, like, she didn't sleep. She just kind of, like, had the stars up and was staring out the window the whole time. You could then, if you want to build a hole in it, you're like, well, she wanted that tropical drink. Well, she then didn't get it. So there's that. Also, that might have just been like, look, we're trying to have fun with them in bikinis, okay? But so then, yeah, and then we found out that, like, she started fading. Her body would literally start to just vanish. And it's kind of scary. Like, there is something sort of scary about just how little control this girl has over her own life and the way the show kind of plays into that. That's what the big thing here is. I'm not now thinking Hiori is a villain. Not Hiori, Sakura. I'm not viewing Sakura as a villain or an antagonist. I'm viewing her as this desperate girl just trying to save her own life. And they did a very good job of it. So then we get our explanation for the time being of why this is happening, and we find out that Sakura went to fight Kika, and after the fight with Kika, for whatever reason, they say like the wish couldn't be granted properly. Kika separated Sakura's mind and body, and she's got Sakura's body locked up somewhere, and her mind has just been able to go about daily life. She's losing her ability to exist. Let's go with that. So she had to then figure out a way to get back to Kika, and she became desperate. And so the only thing she could do was trick Taritos and take advantage of him. But as we kind of see when she's running, she really doesn't like it. She bonded with these two. She really became to like them, especially at the end there when Taritos finally like trying to be nice to her and friendly. She's got to do this. You could sort of tell this is painful and hard to her. Again, she's not a villain. She's not being presented as an antagonist. She's just this desperate girl doing stuff she doesn't want to do. And so then the episode kind of ends with the revelation Taritos beat Kika as the king before, and that's presumably how he got to where he is right now. I assume that's where that's going. The red-haired guy's back, so they're all going to go figure out what to do as Sakura then goes up to fight Kika. And I like the bit when the bad guy just goes to the dude in the hat. He's like, I won't blame you for those chips. Like, he says it like, I can't stand this guy, which I appreciate. And then the episode ends with Kika annoyed that she can't fight Taritos again, which she will obviously do in 1 to 2 episodes. So, before we go, I think now would be a good time to speculate as to what is actually going on with Sakura. We have a few ideas. Option 1 is what I'd like it to be, because I think it's the most simple, and it means we don't lose Sakura at the end of the arc, as she's one of the more fun characters in this show. And that is that, if we're going under my theory that this is all happening in like a Matrix-esque world, and Taritos went to figure out what happened to Kika and got dragged into it, we could always assume that maybe Sakura was a test subject, someone who got sent into the world to fight Kika, and when that didn't go quite right, she got separated from her body and her brain all razzled like Taritos. We also have the option that she's just doesn't actually have a special role. She just literally went to fight the king, got trapped in the middle, and that's just where this is. The big thing I could imagine them doing if they just want to go weird and complicated. There's also several sub-theories if you believe that she was working with in the experiment. The one thing I could definitely see them doing is they make it that Sakura is Kika. Like, what I mean by that is, so Kika acts very, like, unstable, very volatile, very unusual. What if the idea is that Sakura was the part of Kika that, I don't know, like, the good part, I guess would be the way to put it, like, stable, under control, like, I guess, like, what's that called, like, the superego in the Freudian thing, or whatever, but essentially, that got separated, and so you have the sort of, like, kind of sadistic, sort of playful, evil Kika who's just kind of ruling over everybody, and Sakura is the side of her that is like good and mature and functioning in society. There is also things you can add to this theory. Sakura has the same color hair Kika did when she was little before it turned white, which could be a symbol of when she went crazy. I noticed this at the time. Sakura uses the deck Kika used as a child, so maybe when they got separated, that deck went with Sakura, although we saw that deck then with Taritos. But again, if we're in the Matrix, then nothing is really trustworthy. I don't know, it's always weird when you have a storyline that seems to be building to the twist of it was all made up to begin with. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode of Build Divide. I really liked it. I really like getting Sakura's past in a way that keeps her relatable and understandable. But give me your thoughts about this episode below, and as always, click to like, click subscribe, and join me next week where we'll see if any of my theories are correct.